Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, Senior Pastor of New Life Christian Center located at 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. So if you're ever in our area, we invite you to come and worship with us. Sunday service begins at 10 a.m. And if you're not in our area, you can certainly tune in on our YouTube channel at New Life Christian Center Pastor Pope at 10:45 a.m. I'm having a little technical difficulty. However, we are live broadcasting from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart and whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji Water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. For those of you who continue supporting the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites and the links that are provided on YouTube and on Facebook, and those of you that use the QR code, or if you're using Zelle on the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424, we thank all of you for your continued support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. And as always, we are broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can stay connected with us through our internet radio station, WKAPfaith.com. And we play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If you know someone who is dealing with food insecurities, do not hesitate to reach out to us. Text us on the T-Mobile caller text line. We will give them instructions on how to receive food from our public charity, New Life Food Source Pantry. We want to make certain that anyone who is in need of food will have food at New Life Food Source Pantry. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you find it difficult to express love. You said every time in the past that you expressed love to people, eventually they end up leaving your life. And you feel broken, you feel heartbroken, and you really are reluctant to express your love to anyone. However, you do want to be loved. So let me just first of all say this. Every one of us wants to be loved by our loved ones. The challenges that you have faced is that not only has it been relationships that have left your life when you've expressed your love, but you express your love to your family, and they too have gone their own ways from time to time. You know, it really began, and you shared this in your communication, that how difficult it has been for you. It really began when your parents got divorced. And this will take me to another communication, but I'm going to address this. You felt like you loved your parents, and then they divorced, and one of them left your life, but still communicated with you. The other one remained in your life, but you felt shortchanged. And I get it, sometimes that can happen. Because children are not equipped to navigate. They don't have the skill set to navigate that it's okay to, you don't have to take a side. When your parents divorce, you don't have to pick a side of who's right or who's wrong. You don't have to pick a side of, I've got to support this parent and I can't support this parent because this parent's going to get angry. You don't have the tools to build your way out of that. So you felt like you were abandoned even though your love was abandoned because your father wasn't in the household, but he was present. Now, it may not have been as often as you would like it to be, and that's why you felt like, you were pouring love into someone who wasn't giving you the same love back. However, parents are not perfect, so let's work off that premise, pardon me. So here's the reality. You cannot go through life holding back your love. If you accept the love of others, it will enhance the quality of your life. So you can't, now moving forward, every time you find yourself being loved by someone, you can't love them because you find it difficult to express the love, knowing that at some point it's your belief that they're going to walk out of your life again. You've got to love in spite of people. And then when they do depart, if they do depart, you have to love them from afar. It's okay to love someone from afar. And what that really means is you pray for them. You pray that they will have health. You pray that they will continue to prosper. And you pray for their soul. Hoping and believing that if they don't have a relationship with the Lord, if they have not accepted the love of God and come into the knowledge of Jesus Christ, they will someday do that, accept it, and their soul will be enhanced, okay, because they'll go to heaven. But you have to pray for them. You have to love them from afar. But one of the things you cannot do is the people who come into your life and remain, you cannot continue to ignore expressing your love for them, because it will enhance the quality of your life. Listen, love enhances our own lives. The way we have the ability to love, pardon me, is going to enhance our own quality of life. We know that because of what Christ did for us, and we know that was founded in love. We know that, pardon me, we know that what Christ did for us was based on love. So we know how important love is. But in order to be loved, you've got to share love. Because eventually what will happen is people will come into your life and begin loving you, and because you won't accept their love, they will walk away. Pardon me, I'm going to have to take a drink of Earth's finest water because for some reason my sinuses, my allergies are starting to flare up, and I took my allergy medication this morning, so this really should not be a problem, but it is, and here we are. So having said that, what I'm going to encourage you to do is begin practicing love. And this is what is real important. If you find it difficult to express your love, start practicing to express your love. Start practicing the love that you would like to experience. Because you can make the change. You can determine what that's going to look like for you moving forward. Love is a necessity. We don't realize that, but love, being loved and sharing love is a necessity to maximize the quality of our lives. That's why God created man and woman, so that they could bond together in love. That's why God gave children parents who have birthed them, because you should expect that love and you should be able to demonstrate that love. And unfortunately, you don't get to choose your parents, so you've got to work with what you have. How you deal with them is going to be entirely up to you. But however, the problem that you're having is that people in your family and outside of your family, so your relationships aren't giving you the love you need. So you keep chasing more love, but the reason is because you're not expressing love, that you're not getting the love that you need. You're getting the wrong type of love. You're getting sometime love. You're getting love when they feel like it and no love when they don't. So you've got to recognize that the Bible says, in order for a man to show himself, have friends, he must show himself friendly. And I'll go one step further to say this. If you're going to have love, you've got to express love. And I know people will say, well, you can express it in many forms. Yes, you can. But from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So you have to be able to say, I love you. You have to be able to then demonstrate that I love you. You know, those things that you do to show love are necessary, but they're not the foundation. The foundation is to open your mouth and speak it, to just simply say, I love you. And then build on that. And if you can do that, you're going to find that it will enhance the quality of your life. It will allow you to open up freely, and because you will open up freely in that area, you will find that you're able to open up for opportunities that have been awaiting you. But you couldn't receive them until you were able to love. And so I want to encourage all of our listeners and viewers, let's love in a greater way. Again, some people you have to love from afar. There's been too much damage done. There's been too much toxicity to pour out your love on them in person. But you can love them enough to pray for them from a distance. You can love them enough to check in from time to time, just to say, how are you? That's okay. I'm not suggesting to anyone that we should be used or abused. What I am saying is encouraging everyone is to lift our level of love to the next level. Express our love in a way that will enhance the quality of our own lives by pouring out. And then when we pour out, we can receive in. And you'll be amazed at the doors of opportunity that will open for you when you just have the ability to love. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you're not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will move you into our queue so that you have the opportunity to become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto-pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated your father is finally dating after your parents divorced several years ago. You said you have been concerned about him because they've been divorced now for 4 years and he really hadn't started dating again. And your concern now is that your mother is angry that you spend time with your father and whomever he is dating at the time. So here's what I'm going to say to you. First of all, you've got to understand the dynamics going on here. The reason your father wasn't dating for the last several years is because He did not want the divorce. Your mother said to him she wanted to be divorced. And they divorced for a couple of reasons that really are not scriptural. Let's go there, okay? So your mother basically decided that she wanted to be single again. She started developing friendships with single friends and with single people, and she decided she felt like she had missed out on something. So she told your father she wanted a divorce. She then listed a lot of things that had nothing to do with two people getting divorced. You know, they didn't have the same interests. She didn't feel like the marriage was going anywhere. Well, where do you want the marriage to go? But that's a whole different topic. But the reality is your father was wounded, because that's what happens when a man is told basically that he's not enough and the wife wants a divorce. Generally, that's what happens to a man. There's exceptions to every rule. But your father decided he was going to focus on his career. He decided that, sure, he might go to lunch with someone from his professional environment from time to time, but he really wasn't dating. But then, however, after 4 years, he's finally decided to start dating again. So this has been going on for a year now, and your mother, who thought single was going to be a good time, realized that she had it better when she was married than she did when she was single. So now, even though your father has moved on, your mother's not dating anyone. If she is going out to dinner with anyone, she's not finding the compatibility that she had with your father. So now here's the issue. She's angry because you're spending time with your father and whoever he's dating. Because she wanted you to take her side, for lack of a better term. She wanted you to say, well, your father shouldn't be dating because they were married a long time and, how could he move on so fast? Well, it's been 4 years. It's not good for a man to be alone. So, and he didn't want the divorce in the first place. But what you can do to address the issue is just explain to your mother that your father is new to dating again. You don't want him dating someone that's not good for him. Now, you don't get to decide who he dates, but when you spend time with your father and whomever he's dating, you then get to see the character of the woman, the personality of the woman. You get to share with your father, give him some feedback, because dating's not new for you. It's new for him. He hasn't dated in decades. So just explain to her that's your reason, and she shouldn't have, and you can say this to her, she shouldn't be angry about the fact that you're trying to watch over your father through the dating process, when really she's just angry because he's now moved on. And she hasn't had many dates. She's an attractive woman, but she hasn't had many dates. And every date she has doesn't turn into anything. Because the dating pool, from what I'm told and what I see and what I understand, is a cesspool. It's as the young people tell me, it's tragic. Dating is just, because it's being done for the wrong reasons, and that's what people don't understand. They're dating for entertainment, they're dating for a free meal, they're dating for sport, they're dating, none of that was what dating was designed for. I've addressed that previously on the broadcast. But here's the reality. Your mother's finding that out. Now, your father is dating one woman at a time. That's a good thing. He's dating one woman at a time. But he's finding out that it's not all this. It's more difficult than we think it is in today's society. But he's finding that out. And he's doing well with figuring out, is he going to spend time with someone or is he not? But here's what I'm going to say to you, because your father, you indicated your father hasn't watched the broadcast. He's not aware of the broadcast, but you are going to share this with him today. And here's what I'm going to say to you about your father. I'm going to encourage, I know you're not my area, but I'm still going to encourage him to do this. First of all, if he's going to date someone, instead of just asking someone out or someone asking him out, when he asks someone out, he has to invite him to go to church with you. And then what he needs to do is, if he's going to ask someone out, bring him to church and out to lunch. If he does that 3 consecutive Sundays, and depending on the person's work schedule, it may be, instead of 3 consecutive, it may be 6 if they're in healthcare and work on the weekends. But the reality is, he needs to take him to church and out to lunch. He needs to get back in church on a consistent basis. He does attend with you from time to time. And that's another thing. You know, your mother's gotten away from that because she's been doing, brunches with her single girlfriends and all of those things. So there's a lot of dynamics. But encourage him to go to church with you more frequently, and encourage him, if he's going to date someone, to once he gets settled in the Word, take them to church and out to lunch. And that way you can go with him. Not that he needs a babysitter, not that he needs a sitter, but you're more aware of what's going on in the dating world than your father is at this point in his life. Because he hasn't dated in decades. So I will say to you, just have a conversation with your mother and explain to her this is what you're doing with your father. And explain to her that she doesn't need to be angry because he's moved on. They have been divorced for 4 years. It's time for everyone to get their life to a place of normalcy. Now, this is going to take me into another communication, but this isn't about grief. It's about change. And they're both going through changes in their lives, changes that were, for your father, unexpected. Your mother expected change, but she didn't get the change she was searching for. But I will say to you, it's admirable that you spend time with your father and whomever he's dating, trying to get to know them, trying to make sure they're the right fit for your father, because he doesn't know what the dating scene is like. When you haven't been out there in it for a long period of time, you really need some help navigating the waters, because it's shark infested and it's not a pleasant place to be, from what I'm told. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at the retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. And if you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. And the White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers, who indicated that your husband passed away in 2022 after being married for 30 years. And you say everyone expects you to get over it and move on and start dating again. You said you may never get over his absence. Well, let me say this to you. First of all, don't allow anyone else to tell you how to grieve the passing of your husband. And I'm going to say to you, our condolences and our prayers will be with you forevermore. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. You spent 30 years of your life, actually 31 years of your life with someone. How can anyone expect you to get over that, even though it's been 3 years? We get to a point in our lives where when we've been with someone and loved someone for so long, you are, in most cases, there may be exceptions to every rule, but you're not going to get over the loss of their presence. Because everything in your life, when you shared life together, reminds you of the life you shared together. You're going to wake up in the morning and his presence is going to be absent. You're not going to get over that. You're going to go to bed at night and the presence of your husband is going to be absent. You're not going to get over that. Not at this point in your life. Not after 31 years. Even if you had only been married for 3 years, the passing of a spouse is something that no one can explain to you. That no one can tell you what that's supposed to look like. Because it's going to be different for everyone. But when you're talking about 31 years, I know people will say, the loss, the passing of a child is, or no matter what age, is the most difficult thing that anyone can experience. And I'm more committed to say that the passing of a spouse is the most difficult thing, because that's the person, particularly when your children grow up and go off and live their own lives. If they're of adult age and they're living their own lives, you're not spending every day, every moment of your day with your child, but you are spending every day, every moment of your day with your spouse. And what I mean by that is, you may not be in each other's presence all day long, but you're going to have things to discuss. You're probably going to call one another. You may shoot a text to one another. And if it's nothing but to check in on one another, you're going to have that presence every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And after 31 years, no one should expect you to be over it, and no one should be trying to tell you to be over it. You're going to have to continue living, but you can live with those memories. If you get to a place where you decide that you're going to date again, then that's your decision to make. But most of the time, when people have spent decades together, they're not ever going to get over that. That's just the reality of life. And who says you have to? You don't have to get over the passing of a spouse. You can enjoy the memories that you had with them. Whatever you want to do with your life after that is your business. But don't let anyone tell you that you should be over it and you should start dating again. And you've lost. Well, if he was saved, he's not lost. But your husband has passed. And I'm going to tell you that is definitely a change of life that no one really wants to experience. And so I'm going to pray your strength and keep on the journey that you're on. and let God give you the love that you need to remember your husband and the joy that you shared. You said in your communication it was a wonderful marriage for 31 years. You really never expected